if you've ever been in direct sales or specifically multi-level marketing, you will really want to get this brochure and you're going to want to read it cover to cover. It says, is your company next? And Jason, just chime in if you want to. I read this cover to cover. Gregory read it cover to cover. And I feel like this has thrown down the gauntlet and says to all these other companies that are doing things that are not in compliance with the FTC. We've done a training, Gregory Lagana, and well, obviously Gregory and I, but mostly he did an amazing training on the difference between us and multi-level marketing, and specifically talking about the FTC regulations. So you can find that in the Time and Freedom Team website, but read this cover to cover. So I'm just going to give you some of the highlights. It starts with a message from Frank Vandersloot, and it talks all about how much Melaleuca loves the FTC guidelines and how our company is, just like McKay just talked about, positioning in the marketplace. Melaleuca is perfectly positioned. We are already in compliance with the FTC guidelines. And so you'll be able to read, again, all the specifics in this brochure. And then it goes through, it talks about that the FTC has had enough. And so Vima was fined, Vima was fined $238 million. Herbalife was fined over $200 million. And there's all kinds of regulations on those companies to prevent them from hurting the consumer. And the reason this happened and was this whole issue with the FTC has come up is because so many people have gotten hurt in multi-level marketing companies. And so this is just the beginning. And if you wanted to go on YouTube, you can listen to the head of the FTC at the time, Edith Ramirez, actually had a talk with the Direct Sales Association. You'll see some of that in the coming pages. You can read it for yourself or watch it for yourself to learn about the specifics. But we have a checklist in here. Will your company be next? And then, so for instance, the first question on the checklist, and you give this to somebody who's in a multi-level marketing company. Will their company be next? Does your company require large volumes to qualify for certain bonuses? And does your company allow you to place large orders, usually toward the end of the month, that will qualify as part of your required group sales volume in order to meet certain bonus targets? If the answer is yes, then your company could be next. Speaking from experience, Gregory and I, having been in a multi-level marketing company and ended up in financial ruin because of it, we definitely would have checked that off as yes. And that's the reason that we were in so much debt. So that's the first question on here. And every time you check off a question, you'll see each page will talk about that question. So the next one is, does your company have two agreements? One for business builders and one for those who join simply to purchase products for their own use? If the answer is no, my company only has one agreement, then your company could easily be the next target of the FTC. Are more than 66% of your company's products made by those who are just customers only versus business builders? If your answer is no, then your company is going to have to explain why it's not a pyramid scheme. Are your company's products priced significantly higher than products sold in the marketplace? In other words, are there alternatives in the marketplace similar to your company's products that can be purchased for less than what your company charges? If the answer is yes, then your company may not ever be able to comply with the FTC guidelines. This is scary stuff. And for people who are honest with themselves in some of these companies, they're going to start to see the writing on the wall. And by them looking through this brochure, they're going to see the difference. Listen to this question. Can you find your company's products being sold on eBay or Amazon for less than what distributors pay for those products? If the answer is yes, then your company is out of compliance with FTC rules. I enrolled somebody today who had looked online at Amazon.com to get some Melaleuca products. And that's what she wanted, to get some products. She didn't know where to go. And she went to Amazon.com and she asked me, well, how much is a bar of your body bar? And I told her we get 3 for, I forget, don't quote me, I think it's $8 or $9.99, but it's 3 bars. She said they're selling 1 for that. So Melaleuca's products, which should not be on Amazon at all, and that's against company policy, but they're being sold for 3 times the price. What they're saying in this is if you can find your company's products being sold on these websites, it means that these distributors have bought so much of the product and now they're trying to dump it on consumers because they can't get rid of it, and they can't get their money back from the company because the reason they bought it is to compete for bonuses. So their company is out of compliance with the FTC. Does your company suggest that people quit their jobs and go full-time with building their MLM businesses? Do distributors in your company suggest that people quit their jobs and go full-time with building their MLM business? If the answer to either of these questions is yes, the FTC has concluded that you are operating illegally. Have you seen your company or distributors in your company suggest that if people join your company, they will be able to live a lavish lifestyle? Do you see distributors talking about big homes, luxury cars, boats, exotic vacations, etc.? If the answer to either of these questions is yes, your company is exactly what the FTC is looking for. They're going to go after other companies. Is your company next? Maybe you want to stay with your company. Maybe you're willing to play Russian roulette and stay with that company, but sooner or later, your company's going to be next. I remember when Gregory got into multi-level marketing, like I said, way before we got into Melaleuca, unfortunately. The first thing we saw was a video, and it showed these 2 brothers in front of this mansion with their really fast hot cars. I think there was a Ferrari and a Corvette, and they had rings on their fingers, and they definitely, it implied a lot of money, and that's completely against the FTC guidelines. So then there's a whole bunch of appendices. This last page of this part, page 14, is awesome because it really talks about how Herbalife has to be in compliance with these rules or they're going to be out of business, and how Melaleuca is already and always has been in compliance with every single one of those rules. So read it for yourself. In the appendices, you're going to see things like the president of the DSA in writing a letter for clarification. I'm sorry, getting a letter from the chairwoman of the FTC for clarification. It says right here, this guidance makes clear to abide by the law, MLMs must incentivize real sales. In other words, profitable and verifiable sales to real customers. We already do that. It's no longer business. This is a blog that the FTC produces. This one is from July of 2016, right after the Herbalife restructuring and fine, and it's regarding the settlement. So you'll be able to read about this. More importantly, some of your prospects who may be in some of these companies are definitely going to get a good read out of this. So it goes on and on. It talks about, look at this, dismantling a pyramid, lessons from the Vima settlement. How about that? So again, it goes on and on, but it's worth the read. And I will tell you, before you give it to one person, you need to read this for yourself. This is exactly the opposite of what Melaleuca is all about. This brochure talks about all these other companies. You want to know why we're different from any multi-level marketing company? The only thing you have to do is read this brochure and then give it to anyone that you know that's in multi-level marketing. Is your company next? They're going to be quaking. They're going to be shaking because this is a Melaleuca material right here, but we didn't make the guidelines. They just happen to be in line with everything Melaleuca has stood for from the beginning. stood for having customers, real customers buying real products that they really want, and exceptional products at reasonable prices, which is our founding axiom. I can't think of a better place to be. Just branching off of what McKay talked about, we are in the right place at the right time, and all roads really and truly lead to Melaleuca. And Jason or Danny, I'm going to leave you guys with this, and then we can all comment. But Frank's closing remarks were amazing. And again, hopefully you'll see it in some of the highlights on the online on melaleuca.com. But one of the things he said is that in January, I don't know anything more than you do, but that in January, it's going to be impossible for anyone not to become a member of Melaleuca.